6:30, we'll call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
Okay.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was pledging to, yes, master's t-shirt.
Some people pledge to that.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm the vice chair for right now, so until we get to the election officers, I'll go through the agenda item.
Okay.
So I guess we're through the roll call. Welcome to new members. I guess right now we don't, even though for your members, we may not, the new members may not know who they are. So we need to go around and introduce ourselves. Will that work?
Yeah, do you want to speak up a little bit
I'm
louder?
so sorry.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I will
just
do that.
So we
Yeah.
can hear you
I will do that.
better. Thank you, George.
And that may also going to shorten my my time at this role as well. So
Nice try. We don't know.
you want to start with Eric?
Sure. Good evening, Eric Gasol. I've been on the board since 22, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Lived here for 17 years, 3 boys in town, high school, middle school, elementary school. So highly involved in the community and sports, and look forward to working with all of you guys, getting to know you. So
Steve Johnson, really new to the board, newer to Old Saybrook, but I've spent all of my 66 summers on the shoreline and still have a family summer place in Westbrook. And spent 44 years. It's all been in the financial services industry, and half of that has been dealing with towns and cities, much like Saybrook. In fact, did the Saybrook underwriting years ago, competitive bond offering, and look forward to participating and hopefully lending some support in the beautiful town we live in. We love it here.
Carl Fortier for Selectman.
Leanne Palladino, Finance Director.
Jerry Lewis, Clerk for the Board of Finance for over 20 years. Wow. So you better be careful.
That's right.
No, they can't. I know the boss. She's the boss.
Yeah, she's really who's in charge.
Let's find out what happens if you don't respond to an email, okay? Good. Good.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I'm Mariola, and I'm your town treasurer. This is my 3rd term.
Person who sits here is.
She's coming. Give her a second. Here she is.
Why don't we come back
Parking,
there?
right?
We do.
Come back to her. We'll come back with Megan. So my name is George Chang. I am the current vice chair. I've been on the board for final 2 years. I've lived in Old Saybrook for 20 some years. I moved here in 2000. And I love this place.
Hey, everybody, I'm Sue Spence. I have been in an Old Saybrook resident since 2018, but grew up in Meriden, raised my family in Durham, moved to Memphis for a bit. And I am down near the Point. My partner Jim and I lived there together. Fun fact, he and I marched in the Torchlight Parade when we were 13 years old. And we've been together for 2 years, but friends for 50, so happy to be here. Thank you.
My name is Mark Hand, and this is my first elected position, first meeting in an elected position. My wife Casey and I, Casey, many of you may know, she's on zoning, she was on EDC, she's on the Mariners Way. I forget the rest of the name of that commission. Yeah, thank you. We have 2 daughters, one of whom is in kindergarten at Goodwin School and the other one who's 3. And I'm an independent financial advisor. Did I say we moved here in 2018? I think so, but I'm a Connecticut native from Coventry. Lived here most of my life except for a 7-year stint in Florida. And I'm glad to be here and helping our community to be the best it can be.
Right. I think that leaves me. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, good. I'm Jeff Kotkin, and my wife and I bought a home off of Coulter Street in North Cove Crossing in 2018, but we've only been 12-month-a-year residents for about the last 2 years. We moved down from Weathersfield. I was on the town council in Weathersfield for 5 terms and finance committee of the town council all 10 of those years, 4 years as chair. I'm retired now. I retired about 2.5 years ago. I ran the investor relations program at Eversource for 30 years before passing it on in July of 2023. So look forward to working with everybody.
Megan, back to you.
My apologies, everyone. Megan Brady, I'm going into my third year on the Board of Finance and have lived in Old Saybrook for 20 years, grew up on the shoreline, went to school down in the DC area, lived there for a while, worked in different policy areas. Now I work for the Department of Aging and Disability Services for the state of Connecticut.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the call. Next item on the agenda is the election of officers. So I need some nominations for the chair.
Can I make a nomination? Yes, as my first act, I would like to nominate you, George Chang, as chairperson of the Board of Finance.
I need a second for that nomination. Thank you, Megan. Are there any comments? Are there any other nominations for chair? Because at this point, I call for a vote. So I vote for nominating me as the chair. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Were there any noes? Any abstentions? Okay, well, thank you very much, all.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I will now nominate, we need a vice chair. And so, I'd like to nominate Jeff as the vice chair. Is there a motion for that?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? No. We have a vote. All in favor of Jeff as the vice chair, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any noes or abstentions? No.
Congratulations, Jeff.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I wish I could be with you all here tonight, but my wife and I are taking care of 3 and 1 year old children while our daughter and her husband are doing some work starting in the morning. So apologize in advance.
That this is easier.
So the next item on the agenda is we need to approve the minutes from the 10/21 meeting. I appreciate that most of you were not at the 10/21 meeting. I personally have very different opinions about whether people should approve meeting minutes or not, whether they were there or not. I personally think they should, but if we abstain, that's fine as well. But in any case, the October 21st meeting have a carry.
Yeah.
And so if people have had a chance to read it, I need a motion to approve the minutes. So, thank you, Eric. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Megan. All in favor of the minutes, approve the minutes, please say aye. Aye. Any noes or abstentions?
I'll abstain just because I
Abstain.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. Next item, the comments. None here. There's a guest there. Can they actually say something at that point? There's Mark, there's the raise their hand, right? Do you think that's Larry? For the WebEx?
They can raise their hand
Oh, I see.
if they want to say something.
Yeah, okay. I guess we'll move on. The next item is the treasury report.
Okay, I'm getting it down that we'll talk about in a little bit, but if you could pass this down, please. Jerry, yes, there's one for you.
Thank you.
That's just a little synopsis of our bonds, which we'll get into, but I'm gonna start my treasurer's report. So everybody has a copy for the newcomers of the 2 pages of our treasurer's report, which would be, the first page is this one. Just so everybody's on the same page. Okay, so we're gonna start with our executive summary as of October 31. So, sorry, it's a little sniffly. So fiscal year to date, the town has received revenue of 30,274,808, or 57.3% of the total amount of 52,843,405 budgeted for fiscal year 26. When comparing our performance to last fiscal year, we are 1.1% behind this time last year. So underneath the very top set of boxes, you'll see there's a little note that says during October. That's regarding our mini golf. We moved those revenues to a sinking account for future long-term planning for the park and recreation. So we like to just make a note and a mention that every month on that. So during October, $4,924 in mini golf fees were transferred to the Park and Rec Strategic Sinking Fund. So for fiscal year, so far this year, mini golf revenue totals $199,813. So the current balance in that fund is $814,592. So when we get to the second page of revenue broken out, it's no longer there, just for the newcomers to note. And next, we're going to move to our authorized investment section, the middle box. So at the end of October, the town had 42.5 million in its bank accounts. So in the last month, the stiff rate has been declining slightly. So it's 4.31 last month, and today it's at 4.03. And so Webster, which we have a contractual agreement with Webster Bank, where they give us the stiff rate in arrears, which is a really great thing for us. So they give last month, that rate was 4.43. Anybody have any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay. So on October 31st, we had a treasury note come due. We invest our short-term cash management in treasuries, okay, which is what I just handed out to you guys, just for a little FYI. So we had a treasury note come due, $2.3 million. And it's the first time we've had to reinvest under 4%, which I found kind of sad, but that's the way rates are going. So we reinvested at 3.678%. And it will be maturing on October 29 of 26 for fiscal year 27. So we are starting to lock up revenue now for fiscal year 27. So as you can see in this, if we look at this sheet that I passed out to you guys. So we're starting to move our revenue into fiscal year 27 because we've, I'll go over fiscal year 26 quickly. So for fiscal year 26, we budgeted 750,000 of interest and dividend income. And so far this year, we have earned 564,345 with a projected income still of the 438,045, which will bring us to a total of $1,002,390. And that will just be from our investments in the short-term bond market. We will still receive, interest income from Stiff and Webster. So we don't know how much, but it will definitely be over the million 2,000. So we will do very well for 26, which is why we are now going out to fiscal year 27. So any, investments, as you can see, we have something that will come due in February that will all go into fiscal year 27. And so I don't know if all of you have met, not with Carl and Leanne or whatever, but You know, I don't make all these decisions by myself. We have an investment committee, which consists of myself, Leanne and Carl. So these decisions are made together. I do the investigating with the bond guy, and then I bring it to Carl and Leanne and we decide together. Just so you know that. Okay, any questions there? Okay. I'm gonna move on. So then we're just gonna move down to the pension plan. The end of October, we received our report from a different person at Morgan Stanley, who is also our investment manager. And the town pension plan is up 4.16% fiscal year to date versus its benchmark of 6.96%. Over the 3-year horizon, the town plan has returned 12.46% versus its benchmark of 15.02%. The fire department pension plan is up 0.19% fiscal year to date and has returned 12.02% over the 3-year horizon versus its benchmark of 15.02%. And the pension board meets every fourth Thursday at 8:30 in the morning. And it's a very good board. They're really, really good board. So that's about it on that sheet. So just, I'd like to make you all aware, the treasurer's responsibility is to oversee all the monies belonging to the town. So as of October 31, total assets under management were 75.3 million. So then we'll move to page 2 of the treasurer's report, where it's broken out to a little more detail. So in terms of local revenues, the town collected $274,617 locally, or $484,479 in local revenues, for a total of the $30,274,808. So then you'll see in the middle box, the state revenues. We received $142 in lieu of taxes and $809 for state shared revenues. And both are grants from the state that are formula-based and given to all towns, and how they share revenues with the towns. Why they were so low, I have no idea. So at some point, I assume that state shared revenue will become bigger some time in the year.
Hope so. We didn't get any last year. I just don't think that they had a lot of money to share with them.
Share with all the different towns. Yes. Some towns need it more than others, I guess. So interest and dividend income for October was $106,526, plus realized gains from our bond sale in October was $65,215. And then you can look through the bottom things, and you can kind of just look at different departments. And really the ones that really stand out the most is traditionally like the reporting fees from the town clerk. That was $35,000 for the month. Building permits is always huge every month, $58,000. I mean, building permits, we're in October. They've already hit 84% of their current budget. I mean, they are just slamming it like crazy. And that's really all I have. Anybody have any questions?
Any question for Barbara?
So, just generally, we've been relatively conservative on budgeting revenues, because they can fluctuate. Especially with interest income. Leanne and I remember, well, I'm sure everybody here does, there was a 0% interest rate environment for a while there. Interest rates had gone up, now they're going down again. For many years, when I was on the Board of Finance and then subsequently in this position, we were budgeting about $150,000 a year in interest income revenue. And then there was one year where we received 28,000. So, and I mean, not shocking. Interest rates went up, we've obviously reinvested it, and we use that as a revenue for mill rate purposes. We did bump it up last year from, I think, 650 to 750.
Yes.
But now we see interest rate, I mean, that, when you said 4.03 and then the current rate you invested in the threes, I mean, that's a significant difference from where we were. Obviously, we'll see where things go. I just want to make a couple comments. Park and Rec revenue, for instance. The Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance have agreed that mini golf revenues would now go into their off-budget sinking fund for improvement of parks as we move forward. Traditionally, that was a general revenue of the town. And we went from 100,000 one year to 200,000 of mini golf revenues. So just background on a few items there. The building, office, town clerk, they throw off a fair bit of revenue. That obviously fluctuates depending on, I mean, it hasn't fluctuated much in the last few years. Building has just been hammering away. I don't know when that stops, maybe, you know. But anyway, those are just some random comments on revenues.
I just had a couple questions, probably a silly question, but like
There's no
refuse,
silly question.
refuse collection charges?
Yep. I did that this weekend when I brought something to the dump.
Oh,
Up
that's
to the
like the
train
$5
station.
for the,
Yeah,
okay, I
exactly right.
was thinking we don't pick
Yeah.
up, and I know we pay to get rid of it, so,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right, great. And Harvey's Beach looked like it was a good year.
Always a good.
The rate at the end of the year will give us a breakout, and I have that somewhere, of what concessions did at the
Yeah,
beach,
yeah.
what parking passes did, what mini golf revenues did, and so you get a breakout and a comparison
To
based
previous,
on
yeah.
prior years. So it's actually an interesting sheet to look at.
Yeah.
Because it's staggering the amount of money that the parks
Yeah.
bring in.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So, Barbara,
Yeah.
so the mini golf item line, so let me understand this. So is it practice always is not report anything there at all?
Right.
So essentially, would that line go away?
So the prior Board of Finance asked that, because we no longer see how much the mini golf fees are, to just put that line item there and then so that they can see how much is in the strategic fund. So they just wanted to keep tabs on it because we had that revenue and now we don't. So that's all. It's informational. It's nothing that you have to act upon.
So that's why it's on the other sheet as a notation and not on the detailed sheet.
It used to be on the detailed sheet, but now it is all not, it's all funneled from general. It doesn't go to general fund.
You know what I'm saying? You see it on the other sheet, George?
I don't actually, sorry.
See it in between there?
Oh, I see there. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
And I try to bring it,
Yeah.
I bring it to your attention. so
Yeah,
that
I see that now.
you know
Okay,
it's-
good. Yeah.
Okay,
So as the year goes on and this number keeps increasing, we just basically keep changing by the line
we'll keep bringing it to your attention.
That's great. Have another question? Sure. I mean, I guess you were mentioning that the state shared revenues are small.
Yeah.
Do we anticipate that we will hit 16,000 this year?
No, we're not going to. That's it,
Okay.
809,000. We got a letter from OPM that said there was 558,000 to share amongst all of the municipalities, and our share was $809. Last year, we also, and we'll have to look at that closely during the budget season for revenues, because last year we didn't get anything for that either. And
Right.
so I don't know what's going on. I have to dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah, maybe we need to
Maybe we need to
Reevaluate,
that
something else, but.
We will get 525,000. How we get there is a different issue. The numbers fluctuate on different line items here and there. We'll get 30,000 here, 50,000. Be like, I didn't know we were getting that. So that number, that 525 that we anticipate from the state, the long history of that is we used to get about 1.2 million back. That was the most we really ever got, 1.2 to 1.5. And then in the late teens, that number, well, the state went from kind of crisis to crisis, you know, with the budget. There were mid-year reductions in that, and we've landed at about 550, more recently. The number that is there is generally from what CCM gives us during the budget runs, what they estimate when the state is doing their budget in May or something. They'll give us, well, we kind of use last year's number, but CCM estimated like 525 to 550. We'll get that money. That money will come in. I'm quite confident.
Right, very good, thank you. Any other questions for Barbara?
Yeah, just one more, and probably anybody can answer this. The ECS, that early childhood?
Educational cost share.
Okay, thank you. All right.
So ECS is money that basically the state gives towns to offset the mill rate.
Yeah.
It comes
Doesn't
in,
do a lot for
it
us.
comes to the town and it stays with the town.
Yeah, all right.
Question, Barbara.
Unlike other education revenues.
Right.
The short-term investments, I just say, I assume that Webster is then the treasuries, is that the Webster?
No, Webster is where we keep our everyday money.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is there, between stiff treasuries and any other cash, short-term, money markets, whatever, are there percentages that are maximum allowed for any one area? Or when you get into an interest rate environment where you have a, you know, blip that maybe stiff is at 4%, treasury is 3.7, that you can, you know, you can reallocate a significant percentage one way or another. So is there a breakdown? Are you max out on any of the short-term investments?
Well,
We
As-
don't, exactly.
I'm not entirely understanding what you're saying, so what do you mean, as in, what, can I go any higher in their?
No, I'm saying other than treasuries, you know,
Statutorily, we're only allowed to invest in certain things. So it's treasuries, CDs, money markets, that, you know, we're not investing in stocks.
no,
things of
that's
that
what I meant, but is there any of those categories, is there, you know, a maximum amount, you know, by policy? Or could you, you know, essentially invest everything in treasuries, CDs, or is it broken down, by percentage? That's the question.
You have the actually investment policy statement in
Okay,
that package I
yeah.
gave you, but the short answer is there's not a percentage of 50% here, 75% there, there's not. But we are covered at Webster 102% collateralized for all of our investments there. Short-term investment fund is also has a reserve, and the treasuries are basically a little more than our rainy day fund. We kind of said, we'll take the rainy day fund and we invest those out a little bit longer. By policy, we can't go longer than 18 months. So we feel like we can play the yield curve a little bit with those longer term pieces. Stiff, the intermediate, that has an average maturity of about 35 days, and then overnight at Webster. And then as Barbara was saying, you know, the rate at Webster is feed off of this short-term investment rate. So when rates are going up, we tended to keep more money in Stiff and less money in Webster. When rates are going down, we're keeping more money in Webster and less money in Stiff. That's
Thank you, sorry for the confusion.
That's okay.
No, it's okay. I wasn't understanding where you were getting at. I'm sorry, Stu.
No worries.
Okay.
Anyone else? Jeff, can you hear us? Okay, very good.
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
I don't think I need to.
We don't normally do that, but thank
Okay,
you.
all right, but I would.
But
I
we
know you would. Thank you.
But we will thank Barbara for.
That's not unusual. You're right about that.
It is nice
It
to-
is frequently done
Yeah,
at
it's nice.
Yes.
meetings,
It's a good thing to have, so thank you.
but
I appreciate it.
But we will thank Barbara for her efforts. Thank you very much, Barbara, for your presentation.
Thank you, Chairman.
The next item is the finance director's report.
Mr. Chairman. So typically, what I do when I give this report is I just talk about what's changed from the month before, so that I don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but this month I'll take a little extra time and explain the report. So the first section is really an overview of the fiscal year 26 budget and where we stand. The first section is the executive summary by general government, our outstanding debt, and the Board of Education. It compares how much we've spent so far this year, so, we've expended 20.8 million. Also to mention that our expenditure budget, 52.8 million is exactly the same as our revenue budget, so we don't budget in a surplus or to utilize it, but they always equal each other. We also compare what we spent so far percentage wise versus last year. So you can see in general government budget, we're at 41.9% versus 36.7% last year. Usually those numbers run really close to each other. However, this year's a little bit different. If you, and just to point out, this sheet that you have here, these are the summary line items in the back. And you can see that we spent about $1.2 million in the general government budget more this fiscal year than we had at the same point last year. Obviously, the budget went up because of inflation, but most of it is due to timing issues for this particular year. And the four main drivers of why we spent more money at this point. One is that we've spent $375,000 more in road paving than we had at this point last year. We've spent the entire $500,000 budget. Usually we spend some in the summer and then some again next spring, but we spent it all. $182,000 for our water hydrant. That budget is $742,000, and that is for water that we keep at the ready for the fire department, all the hydrants. And last year at this point, we hadn't spent any money. So that's a timing difference. The other mover is capital. We actually budgeted almost $180,000 more than we had the year before. We will talk about a lot of this stuff during the budget season, but just to say for tonight, that's one of the movers that we transfer all of those capital things to the off-budget funds in the first month. And then the fire department is $135,000 more. Every 10 years, we take a look at the fire department pension plan. And we did this last year and we increased some of the payouts. And obviously that would have the effect of increasing the employer contribution. So a lot of these things, if you had been here during the budget season last year, might make a little bit more sense to you, but as we go through it, hopefully it will.
So one of my favorite things to point out to people is just for keeping water at the hydrants. We pay Connecticut Water about $700,000 a year. Just that's water at the hydrants. That's all it is.
If we don't use any.
If we don't have to use any of it. Water at the hydrants is $700,000. That's true all over the state. Yeah. I mean, however many hydrants. Yeah. So it's an amazing thing. I mean, if you tell people that at a party, they'll be like, what are you talking about? You know?
Kind of like feel now.
Like it's there, right? Anyway, go ahead.
So the next section is our ARPA appropriation. We've been keeping track of that for a few years now. We received just under $3 million for the common cold Saybrook. ARPA appropriations were recommended by an ARPA ad hoc committee who recommended it to the Board of Selectmen, who approved it and then moved it forward to the Board of Finance, and it ultimately went to town meeting. So all of these appropriations have been approved. We're actually almost done now. Last December 2024 was the last time that we made an appropriation. And at this point, we have to finish spending all this money by next December 2026. And we only have 273,000 more to go. Most of the large items that we spent for ARPA were infrastructure related. About 600,000 for the Beaver Dam culvert repair, 500,000 for paving, and $260,000 for a new one of those snow plow trucks. Those have been removed from the list because they're all done, and what's left on this list is what is remaining. On page 2 of the Finance Director's report, we have all of the Board of Finance decisions that have been made. We haven't had any budget transfers this year, and actually they're kind of rare. We typically don't. but that would be taking money from one department's budget and giving it to another, for example. We often do a lot of work with capital non-recurring appropriations. That is money that we set aside in a reserve for whatever comes our way that we need to fund. So, for example, in October last month, the Board of Finance voted to appropriate $12,000 for the purpose of hiring a housing plan consultant for the land use department. That now is teed up to go to town meeting, which will be next week. And once it's, assuming it's approved there, and we'll put down that date. We haven't had any reimbursable grants yet, but we hopefully will. And the reason, if we get a grant and they just give us the money, it just goes to the Board of Selectmen because the money's in the door. But when we have to pay for it first, that's an appropriation and you all have to approve that before we can start sending money out. So we keep track of those. And then, of course, we have some other Board of Finance approvals that have been made. At a special meeting, there was an approval to enter into a contract with the new police chief over several years. Also, I wanted to point out the appropriation last month for the fire truck. That's principal plus interest. And I want to point that out because there's a Board of Finance strategy that has been approved that will allow that fund to go negative at some point in the future. So you're going to see negative balances. The auditors want to make sure that Board of Finance knows that that's our strategy. So that was approved by the Board of Finance. We also have a funding mechanism for outside and marine services. And that's what's going on with Amtrak over there. When they use that boat, they charge a rate. And we are collecting funds and we're going to use it to repair the boat, probably to purchase.
So they're paying us to do some marine patrol and they're paying us relatively handsomely. And that boat needs to be repowered. And so we're putting it in an off-budget fund and it's actually going to be a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is.
Just with regard to the negative financing, did that throw anybody off how that account's going to go negative with the fire truck? Sometimes, I don't know how many times I've heard it. I just want to make sure no one had any questions about that. If you go.
So the next section is kind of the general government run rate. So if the budget was divided by 12 months, every single month, we've gone through about a third of the year. And if it was all equal, we would have spent $6.5 million now. We've actually spent 8.1 million. And we're about 1.7 million over that, and that's not unusual. We do a lot of upfront payments at the beginning of the year. That's just information. I don't know if that adds too much value to conversation, but page 3 of the finance director report is the cash flow summary. So as you all know in your orientation, the town has about 100 funds in off budgets. And so the purpose of this is to kind of encapsulate the movements of those funds between the various categories. General fund was down minus 4.2 million. So we had expenses of minus 4.7 million, and that's on this finance director sheet. The treasurer said we had revenues of about 500,000 come in, so that's an outflow of 4.2 million. Typically, the general fund will be down $3 to $3.5 million a month. It's typical. Capital funds are down 180,000. And again, if you had been on the board for a while, once you are, you'll see these projects coming through. But we paid for 155,000 for Chalker Mill Pond repairs, and then Park and Rec bought some equipment that had been previously approved as well. Reserve funds were actually up 31,000. We have one of the reserve funds is for the sewer avoidance fund, WPCA, and those benefit assessment bills go out in October. Some people paid early. We'll probably see some more money coming in next month. And of course, all else being equal, if nothing happens, we earn interest on those funds. So that's plus 31,000. And then the non-major funds are everything else, down $700,000. You will, get to know that it's the same things that happen every single month that, affect those. $400,000 for the pension plans, the town and the fire department outflow. When we go through the budget season, we'll talk about why youth and family services is off budget, but it is, and that was, the monthly spend there was 46,000. And the Board of Ed was, down $200,000 they spent. We keep track of all of the Board of Ed's money, we don't tell them what to do. We have off budget funds for them and we account for their total salaries, their total benefits, their total operating expense. We don't see the details per se. So next are the long-term strategies. We have 3 long-term strategies: capital, pension plan, and debt service. These capital outlays here, they're all transferred to off budget. The fiscal year 2026 transfers total 921,000. If you go into the budget book, it should equal that. And the balance is actually how much money we have in there, because these are cumulative balances. We continue to add to them through the budget process, through surplus and other methods of adding. Capital non-recurring, fire department apparatus, public works, Board of Ed, those are all reserve funds that are, well, except for capital non-recurring, they are already approved to purchase those things, fire, public works, and whatever the Board of Ed. They don't necessarily have to come back to the Board of Finance because they've already been approved, but they do come back. And capital non-recurring always has to come back to the Board of Finance. Catastrophic illness is heart and hypertension that is specific to the police department. Post-employment payout is for accrued paid time off when an employee leaves that we owe them. Reval is every 5 years. It costs money to do the reevaluation of our real estate. Contingency is we have something unexpected. Roof repair, we have 6 buildings that we have to take care of, so we're always repairing those roofs. And then the police celebrate Saybrook Festival is an ongoing festival that costs the town money, so we reserve for that. The police vehicle reserve, we have traditionally flipped the fleet every 5 years. And so we put money aside so that when that time comes, we can do that if that's how we choose to fund the new police vehicles. And the library heat pump reserve, the library has 34 heat pumps in its attic. They each cost like $8,000 to $10,000. So at $10,000, if they all went bad, $340,000. So we buy about 2 every single year to keep that up. And the rest of these things are what we call named projects. They, and you will see this during the budget process, the department heads are going to come forth and you're going to ask for things. And if they're approved, they go here. We just kind of keep track of whether they were done or not done.
Can I just,
Go ahead.
very quickly, catastrophic illness, is everybody familiar with the heart and hypertension law that was repealed by the state because it was hurting towns financially? So basically it was, if you developed high blood pressure or any sort of heart disease while you were on the job as a police officer, during a period of time after they passed the law and then until they repealed it, you can claim what they call heart and hypertension benefits. They go to it's workers' comp, and it's a presumption that it was work related. We still have about 6 or 7 officers. Well, we have several that have been paid. And we have a couple more that can still claim payments, whose cases are, and others whose cases are active. So we started putting money aside. I will tell you our obligations, I hate to say this, far exceed what we're putting aside, our long-term obligations. But we are putting money aside for that. So I just wanted to explain that particular account. It's really exclusively for that. Yeah.
So did you say the law is no longer, but some people are grandfathered in, is that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, your grandfather in if you were an officer prior to the repeal. Yeah. Yeah. In towns, there were towns that bonded this obligation, like Bridgeport and New Haven, and that's when they finally repealed it. So they were just like, we're hurting towns too much. So,
Page 4, capital expenditures that are within the general fund and within the budget of the individual department are reported here. The largest one is highway and streets, 500,000. That's the new budget. And as I mentioned, it's, we've already used 508,000. We've actually almost spent all of our budgeted amounts for the general fund. And we have the pension plan. The Board of Ed also has some employees that qualify for the town's pension plan.
non-certified.
Non-certified, thank you, not the teachers, but like some of the staff members. And so the town and the Board of Ed both pay towards the actuarial defined contribution. Our town pays 100% of what is required to be paid, which is great. So that means that we keep doing that, then we can never run out of money for those that are collecting pensions. And the fire department, the same thing. We pay the full actuarial required amount, 271,000. And it says pension reserve, but I'm going to fix that for next month. It should say long-term liability reserve. At one of the last town meetings that we had, we combined all of our reserves together, the pension reserve, some of the other reserves that we had, we added surplus money. So now we have $506,000 in that long-term liability reserve. We use towards any of these long-term liabilities, and we will definitely be talking about that during budget process. Finally, debt service, what we started the year owing 15.5 million, we will end this year owing 13.4 million. And I will conclude this debt service during the budget process as well.
Just in the paid to date, it says nothing. We paid at the end of the fiscal year and just move everything over. Or am I misunderstanding it? Under your, the actuarial defined contribution, is the row that says paid to date by the town and BOE and it's blank. I'm assuming it's just, oh, you already paid it.
We pay that in July, so remember, so that's what I meant, like, there's, 800,000 of the money that we were kind of, ahead. We spent more than.
Right, yeah, and that was part, okay,
That's right, yes.
thank you.
Has this already been covered why the fire department pension is 49% funded and the town pension?
It has not been covered. It was a question.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it jumps out.
Yeah.
So the fire department plan is a newer plan. We actually make the actuarially defined
Employer.
ADAC now, it's not ADC. We make that payment that they tell us to make. So even though it says 49% funded, we fully fund what our actuary tells us to, so that when these guys and gals go into their retirement, they elect that, the funds will be there. So we're not actually told to put in any more money into this plan.
Do you know why they only recommend that smaller amount? The actuarial, I mean, you do what they tell them to, but why is it?
Well,
Just curious.
Leanne could probably explain this better.
Mean by smaller amount.
Well, not smaller amount, but we pay what they tell us to pay, but why so low? You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
okay.
I'm just curious.
It's a big formulaic explanation.
Enough said.
But they have, an unfunded liability, which we amortize over like about 20 years.
Mhm.
And then the normal cost, which is what we're paying the people for this year. So, and there's interest rates that go into that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things. One time we had, Morgan Stanley come in, which I think probably would be a nice idea at some point, and they explained, how we manage the funds, in addition to making sure that we have enough money to pay our pensions, making sure we have enough cash flow, and how we manage these actuarial changes. So the pension board, every February, the actuary will come in and they go through all of these things, like, you know, what's the interest rates levels doing, what are what do you call those things, the mortality, demographics and mortality, you know, if people are living or dying, you know, all of these things go into effect with that calculation. And then we look at it every single year, and they have a spreadsheet that shows how in 20 years we will be at 100% funded. So happy to bring that in sometime.
Yeah,
Well, they'll let me.
that's why it does jump out.
Yeah, it does.
But we make our full contribution as we're told to do on both the town and fire department plan. And that is new. That is not that is not we got to that point about 3 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And it hadn't been done for quite some time before that, which is good because you hear about towns all over the state that are not doing it.
Any other questions?
Just a quick, oh,
Please, yeah.
yeah, just a quick question. There's nothing that you described that would make me think that somehow we're going to be way off budget over the course of the year. You could always end up with a snowy winter and, you know, snowplow costs are much higher than expected. It doesn't sound like there's anything out over the next 7.5 months that you're aware of or that you're focused on that could sort of throw a wrench into the budget. At least it doesn't sound like there is.
There is not, and I usually actually say that every month too. Everything looks good. So when we get closer to the end of the fiscal year, that's when we start seeing some deviations. Right now, everything's fine. I will report on any budget that goes over 100%. I will report on any individual line item that goes over 25,000. And allow you the opportunity to call in that department head if there's anything concerning that you see. But yes, the end of the year, it might get a little, but usually we're fairly accurate. A lot of, as we go through the budget process, you'll see a lot of the cost is expense and salaries and benefits, and those are known. And we keep, you know, our staffing levels pretty tight here. So we typically make our budgets.
Yeah, I have questions about the section 3.
Yeah.
So the fire apparatus fund, for example, right? So 3351, the fund. So based on your description of the fire truck on page 2, where you're going to basically move 1.8 million out of that fund. So I'm just trying to imagine. So has a town meeting happened yet?
No.
Okay, but
Monday.
so let's assume it happened and we passed.
Well, I'm not gonna move 1.8 million out. We're gonna borrow money, and the annual payment is $266,000. But if we only have 200,000 coming in and 266 going out, it's gonna go negative like this year or next or something like that.
So I'm just curious, then in section 3, the second line item, what would that look like next month? For example, because right now it's.
Well, it'll be, the payment will be September 2026.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay, and then we're gonna put 200,000 in July, if you approve it that way. I mean, that's what we're recommending.
Yeah.
But, and then we have another payment for another fire truck. It's 107,000. So I don't think next year, yeah, maybe next year it'll go negative by like, I think 50 or 60,000. If I do the math in my head quickly. But in the recommendation, I actually did show.
Yeah,
and I
right,
can- I can
right.
get
And I remember that. But so next month, then the numbers, the 176 with a transfer and a balance of 100,000.
That's already in there.
It's already in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
76 is already in there, and you can see we're at 102 because we made a payment of 107,000 for the other fire truck.
The other question I have is for the lower items in that table where these just named projects. Let's just take the floor scroll, for example. Is that actually being done?
That they made a down payment on that. I think they owe a little bit more money on that one. So, but yes, they got that a little less expensive than they were expecting.
So for some of these, there may be money left over.
There may be, yes, and that'll go drop to the bottom line.
I feel like the same looks like for the fence project at McMurray. It's the same exact situation
Yeah.
and that project is done. So they paid for the whole project?
Not yet. They had to put a down payment and
Okay.
then we probably just haven't paid for the last piece. So we have not paid for the last piece, not probably.
And how come we don't include Fund 3053 on this list with the Parks and Rec sinking fund? That has the 815,000 for the strategic plan. Wouldn't that be part of this too? I'm just realizing this now.
Put it there.
I'm just curious.
Well, the reason why I don't is because, well, I can put it there and just have, like, the Board of Ed has a zero transfer, I could do that, because if we don't transfer anything, I could put it there. But I think the reason why it's in the treasurer's report was because they didn't want to just see the balance, they wanted to see what the income was, because this year, we're gonna be not getting any of that income.
Thank you. I like seeing the balance too.
Yeah.
Amazing project, a good project, but.
Yeah, but you are getting the balance on the treasurer's report too, but she can put it in both places.
Any other questions? Jeff, you good? Right, very good. Yeah. Next item on the agenda is the selectmen's report.
So typically in the Board of Finance meeting, if we're not running too late, I just kind of give a more broad overview of what's going on in town. Some of it may affect the Board of Finance, some not. A lot of the projects that we talked about have been funded by the Board of Finance, so it's kind of an update. But the first thing I'd like to say is that I'm at your next meeting. I'm probably going to bring a grant request to you. So it kind of flew under the radar, but we did receive a grant about 2 weeks ago. About $175,000 from DEP. It's a reimbursable grant, so it has to go from the Board of Selectmen to the Board of Finance to town meeting eventually. And therefore, we won't spend the money until it's approved at town meeting. It is a waste reduction grant. So, we had a Board of Selectmen meeting just prior to this, and if you've been listening, and I'm assuming most of you haven't, which is probably good for you, to me rant about trash for the last 10 years, and I have been. We have a trash crisis in the state of Connecticut. The cost of tipping fees has probably gone from 50 to 150 over the course of 7 or 8 years. Next year, we're paying $141, or maybe it might be even a little bit more than that, to tip our trash. So this is a grant that we're going to tread lightly with in the beginning. It's in several phases. If phase 1 does not go well, we will not spend the rest of the grant. We will not implement it. It's called unit-based pricing, and it is the political third rail for most folks. It truly is. Towns have done it. Towns have immediately given up on it. It's the bag thing. You buy bags, or organics are heaviest of all in terms of weight. Food waste is 20 to 40%. I won't go into this too much, of trash thrown away, and it is also the heaviest what's out there. So let me just say this very clearly. The first phase is an educational phase. It is a small committee that will be helped by a consultant that is all paid for with the grant, that will educate folks and see what the appetite is. This is only for the transfer station. It is not for subscription services at curbside. So, that grant is, the entire amount of the grant is about $175,000. This is really, if it were ever to work, it's good for the environment, it's good for the bottom line. Because you're diverting organics out of the waste stream. So, it is likely that I will come to this board with a, fully thought out, motion in front of you. With some, maybe even with a consultant to talk about it a little bit. And you can hear as to whether you would like to approve this reimbursable grant, so we can move forward with it to town meeting, and then it'll be a thing at town meeting too. I think the important thing to talk about is, we're not doing it right now. We're talking about doing it. We wanna see if we can do it. We wanna see if people have the desire to do it in this community, so.
So phase one is to educate.
Yeah.
And it goes through town meeting to do that, but then.
Nope, it only goes to town meeting for the funding.
For the
And then
funding.
then, once we get the funding, we begin phase one.
So how do you know if people wanna do it once you've educated them?
Well, I think I'm gonna leave that.
Tomatoes thrown at you.
No, I'd probably leave that, to the consultant.
Yeah.
To kind of give us a little bit of feedback. They will be at the transfer station. There will be, mail, there will be a program, probably have a community forum on it, things like that, so.
And
Yes,
people have to buy the bags, right?
so this is true, and you can price them. The question is, are you looking to offset costs,
Yeah.
or are you looking to break even?
Right. Got that.
And if you're looking to break even, look, I bought bags at Costco, okay? They're stupid cheap, right?
Yeah.
You can price these pretty inexpensively, and if people go with the program according to where it's been implemented, it works. It's recycling.
Yep.
And it's food diversion. It works. It's a question of people that wanna do it.
Yeah, my kids got it outside of Boston. I think it's the coolest thing,
Okay.
but they get ticked off about we're out of bags and it's a pain in the butt. But anyway, but it's.
I'm glad you know,
stuff.
and it is more popular in
Yeah.
Massachusetts. It's,
Heck, I'd help you if I put a regular bag in that garbage. You like that?
yeah.
Can't do that.
I see, I love that.
Yeah.
Madison does Madison do it, I think?
Madison and Guilford just
They
adopted
do.
it.
Yeah,
But Madison, I think, longer than Guilford, right?
Madison,
They
what?
just adopted it?
Yes, both of
Okay.
them,
Yeah.
both of them in the last couple of years. Stonington's done it for 20 years. West Hartford tried it and they didn't do it. They started down the road and they rejected it.
sorry to get obsessed about the subject, but so the organic goes this way.
Yeah.
What happens to it? I remember the transfer station guy said, when it gets to Hartford, they all dump it in the same place anyway.
Right now we have an organics program up there. We
Yeah.
have a company called Blue Earth Take It.
Yep.
So we'll probably have Blue Earth engage them a little bit more. And they take it to Quantum Organics, and Quantum turns it into biodiesel and biofuels.
I've lived in 2 towns where they did this.
Okay.
Both of them, after their year, decided
Yeah.
not to do it.
Not
Because- Not do it. The people were not happy. I mean,
crabby.
and especially, I don't know how it's gonna work, but right now you don't pay anything for anything.
Yeah, that's true.
That's,
But what do you think about paying to get rid of your trash?
No, understood.
how about you have a planet left?
Well, right, no, I get it, but it's, people are very resistant, but yeah, hopefully.
I can see it.
They are. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
How's that?
Good idea.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's see. Leanne and I will be having budget meetings, so the way we start is by meeting with the department heads. So the week of December 1st, we're probably gonna have 10 meetings, with our department heads. To just kind of go through their budgets, see what their ask is, see what they need. And then that gets kind of refined a little bit, and I'll bring it to the Board of Selectmen, and then that is what we will be talking about at our joint meetings with the Board of Finance. So we'll be starting that up shortly. Not much else other than there's a lot of construction going on in town. The crosswalks are getting done. They said they wanted to finish them by Thanksgiving. There's no way they're finishing them by Thanksgiving. Although they've made a lot of, they
have.
poured cement today.
Yeah.
The project on the west side of town is really problematic because of the traffic. It's awful.
It's-
And I've heard from a few business owners, so. I don't know what else to do about that. That is, it's gonna get done. And it'll continue into next year. So, I'll leave it at that for now. Any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
Is there a,
Anything going on?
is there a temperature constraint like below a certain?
Oh, yeah.
So you
Oh, yeah,
got.
no, everything's gonna shut down. They'll work to the first week of December, but that's it, because it's not reliably warm enough, and you could put blankets on, but then you get into a whole different thing, we're not doing that. It'll shut down, it'll shut down in 2 weeks.
That include crosswalk project too?
What?
Does that include the crosswalk project too, or? will
They
do
said they
that?
wanted to finish it by Thanksgiving, and it's hard to believe they will, but we'll see.
Hopefully that one doesn't linger through the winter.
One of the issues is both are state roads and you cannot work on a state road off hours or on weekends
Yeah.
typically. Town road, no problem. But yeah, state roads, they are very strict about
But
it.
isn't the part they're working in town?
No, this is,
We're on the
No,
outside,
it's
right?
all-
We
it's
maintain
all-
that though.
we do, but they're basically in the middle. I mean, they go, I mean, you're right, on the edges.
You go to the Capitol.
I'm just saying, Carl, there's a lot of meetings left till spring that I can ask about crosswalks. We wanna keep it up, so.
Anyway, we'll see how far
Let's hope they get it done.
We'll see how far they get. So,
Yeah.
Well,
Mm.
someone stepped into it. I didn't see him there between the
Yeah.
cars.
Yeah.
I've been here.
Any other questions for Carl?
I'm happy to talk about anything.
I just have one quick comment here, you know, and to commend, you know, Carl, Leanne, Barbara, and the whole team. Early on in my run for the Board of Finance, I saw the Moody's upgrade.
Mhm.
I've dealt with the rating agencies many times, reviewed budgets, and they don't throw around rating, increases lightly. It's like throwing around manhole covers. So that was pretty impressive early on for me in a, you know, when there wasn't a significant bonding project. So I think it's clear the leadership in the past has had, you know, solid, you know, fiscal management, and the rating agencies have said that with an exclamation point. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was something we were, I mean, Leanne was more excited than anybody. She was like, I think we're gonna get a raise upgrade. And I was like,
There is.
I was very happy. Yeah. Anyway, thanks.
Next item is the 2026 calendar of meetings.
It's also exciting.
Is someone gonna talk about that? Cause I can certainly talk about that very well. Did you put this out?
I did.
Would you like to talk about it?
Well, the meetings are the first and third Tuesdays of the month, as always. If you get down to November 3rd, I know that, you know, that's usually election time, but at the October, one of the October meetings, we decide, you know, whether to cancel or, you know, whatever, but usually it's pretty straightforward and not too much to say about it, really.
So I know I was here earlier and you took something back that it might change, but you did say
So
there
that's the
was.
budget.
Oh, yeah.
That has nothing to do.
So when would we get the budget calendar, just to?
So Carl and I were gonna look at that because we had a Saturday meeting in there and we were thinking about maybe doing it like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday instead. Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to put that calendar out, but next
Maybe next meeting.
We might do that and just like,
The day shot anyway, right?
what,
For those of you that still work, the day shot anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But you don't think we're gonna do a Saturday meeting this time?
we're thinking.
We're thinking of
maybe
changing
not.
it.
Okay.
No labels.
You know, I'll bring bagels if you really desire.
Oh, and another thing. Yes.
Take your time.
All right, that's usually a 5-hour meeting, so you can break it up over 3
Like the
nights.
Saturday.
I did too. Oh,
So,
Whatever y'all.
Long night meetings. Ugh, I know.
Let's do the week.
they don't have to be long if you do 3, you know, there's a lot
We
of.
vote on
meetings
this,
that we don't. So we'll get that to you. quick.
Right.
Get that.
5 hours.
So I just wanna.
We need to vote on this first.
We do, but I just wanna add to, what Jerry was saying, and I think what you guys have already alluded to, right? So Jerry put up the schedule for next year, but we course, have meetings for the rest of this year as well. But you need to look at from last year's, year calendar. And then, of course, as Leanne just mentioned, we will have additional meetings during the budget season. And that will be determined. So, I need a motion to approve the 2026 calendar meeting. Do I?
Yes, you do.
I need a motion, okay. Need a motion to approve the meeting?
I'm keeping my hand down. Just kidding. I'll make the motion,
Thank you,
since we need one.
thank you, and I need a second.
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 Thank you.
Eric, was that your?
Yeah, there.
Any comments or discussions, objections? If none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed or abstained? Thank you very much. Comments from board meetings. Board members, thank you. None? Public comments?
Just one and
Are there?
no one's hand is up.
Okay. Comment from the chair, so one, just thank you very much, for voting me to the chair. And welcome all new members to the board. One of the things that we'd like to add is that in the past, we have, an item about having, leads on, of Board of Finance to other commissioners. So that's something I think that we should talk about in future meetings, to see whether we can do that. Since everybody is new here, I think having liaisons on for their boards and commissions may be a good thing. So we can talk about that. Other than that, I have nothing else to add. Great. As we adjourn the meeting, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Let me.
Thank you, Susan. Can I have a second on the motion?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Yeah.